Good evening, everybody. God bless you tonight. It is Tuesday night, and it is time for our Fire Few. Lord have mercy, I done jumped to Wednesday night already. No. I jumped ahead. It is the seat at the table. It is time for our table talk. It is the seat at the table with Apostle and Evangelist tonight. And y'all know we've been talking about setting the course. You know, we've been dealing with it. I gave us some things on last Tuesday night to look at with seat at the table. Is the mics on? They're working pretty good. I got us some new mics, our other lapel mics. My wife wanted to sit them on the table. I'm gonna just clip mine onto uh, my chain. So I got us some new mics, some mics to see if they will work a little bit better than the other mics that we had, so that we can have a little better recording, a little better sound, a little better quality. See if it'll work a little bit better, so that we didn't have to have the mics up so loud. So we welcome you tonight. Our son, he was with us in our recording on last week. He's back with us again tonight. He's sitting in with us. He likes to be with us. He be wanting to be with us all the time. He's like, "Can I be in there with you?" I'm like, "Yeah. Why would you leave out? You don't have to leave out." It's actually works out pretty good when he's with us. So we don't have no problem having people as I guess, if you want to call it that. But however, we are elated. We're starting early tonight. Evangelist got off early tonight. She'll be with me at the doctor tomorrow, as well as on Thursday. So let us get ready to get right into everything. So those of you that will be joining us tonight on all of our streams that we have, uh, Facebook, uh, Instagram, YouTube, as well as on our Twitch stream. We do welcome all of you tonight. We are grateful. We are ecstatic. It is the fourth day, 35 days into this year, and God is still good. And when we're talking about setting the course, we reestablishing, building, rebuilding, remodeling. We are making sure we're maintaining, we're going through the process. I just had an oil change on the car, had to get some new wipers because the wipers that were on the car, they were supposed to be lifetime, but they wore out. Some things wear out. So they did an oil change on the car. So we got to do maintenance every now and then. So when you're setting the course, and as you're walking and as you're moving forward, as you're building, as you are moving in the direction that you say you're moving in. We looked at 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse number 19, as we looked at this last week. Nevertheless, the foundation of God standeth sure, having this seal. So when we look at our foundation, we have to make sure that our foundation is secure, it's stable, it is not rocky. We have to make sure that there are no cracks. We have to make sure that our faith is moving in that direction. And every now and then we have to go back and secure it. Paul said in Ephesians chapter number 4, when we go from verse 11 all the way to verse number 20 or verse 24, we have to be sure we're talking about the last thing that he established: apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, teachers. And we look at the fivefold part, and then we move on forward from that, and we start looking at the fact that he said that we have to put aside the former conversation of the old man, which is corrupt according toward the deceitful lust. We got to look at the flesh every now and then. We want to move back. Welcome, cousin Ruby. How you doing, sister Ruby? One of the singingest ladies down in Homer, Louisiana. There's some older ladies. They were young in their days, and now they're more seasoned, and they're still singing as the years still come along, but faithful. They established. They are not only established, but they help establish people like me as well as their children. And just so happen I'm a part of Sister Ruby's family. Built us not only not only in the classroom of the church, but in the classroom as well in school. So, with that being said, we're talking about the course. And when the course set, there's a set place that you're trying to get. We're establishing where we're going. We know where we're going. We know how we're going to get there, what we're going to do to get there, the manner in which we're going to work in order to get into that place. So, heaven is our goal. They used to sing a song in church, heaven is my goal each and every day. I got to keep on moving in the right way, and if I stumble, while I'm on my way, step aside, don't block my way, so we have to make sure we maintain this course. We have to make sure that we're going where we say we're going. We have to make sure that we are doing everything that we possibly can do. So our faith, our foundation, we have to be certain and sure that we have removed certain things out of our life. We have to be sure that, as Paul said in Colossians chapter 3, that those things that are rudiments, those things that are rooted in us, those things that we have allowed us, that we've been built upon from our family, from our heritage, from the things that we have allowed our environment, from our family, from the places that we live, from the things that we grew up around, from words that we have heard, from the things that we have allowed to begin to prune us, push us forward, that we've given place to, that we've given power to, that we've allowed our hearing to get into our mind, our emotions, that we've allowed to allow our mentality to build up off of things that we've heard throughout our life, fairy tales, fables, and all of these things. Even Paul, in his writings to Timothy, in his pastoral epistles, even in what he wrote to Titus, they made sure that we didn't hold on to things that were not real. And there's a lot of things that we've heard. And we've looked at a lot of fairy tales. Mary had a little lamb, and we've heard about the big bad wolf and all of these other things that were told. But we got to look at what reality is, what life really is all about. So I gave you Ephesians 4. I gave you 2 Timothy chapter 2. I took you to Colossians chapter 3. But then when you look at what Paul says in his writing to the church at Corinth, when he begins to build up off of what the church is, he started off in chapter 1, and he tells us that we got to begin to walk together. As we walk together, we got to begin to look at the mere fact that our walk as body of believers has to be in a place that we got to be in the same mind, same judgment, thinking the same things. 1 Corinthians chapter number 1, somewhere around verse number 10, Paul talks about these things. So when we look at it, we have to make sure that when we set the course, you know the direction, you know where you're going. You said you got saved. You said you confessed with your mouth. You believed in your heart. Romans chapter number 10, verses 9 and 10. When you start off in verse 1 of chapter 10, Paul says that my prayer for Israel is this, is that they might be saved. But they can't go around establishing their own righteousness. When we look at the course being set, the course of our life, we always go back to Jeremiah chapter 29. And we look at verse 11, I believe it is, that everybody always want to look at. And we talk about the mere fact that God knows his thoughts towards us. He know what our expected end is. He know how he's established, what he's blessed us, what he's going to do, how he's going to do it, the manner in which he's going do it in, position in which he's set before us. If all of those things we know to be true, then why are we still allowing what's going on around us to limit us, as well as begin to put us at a place to where we don't believe? So if we go back to even Sunday morning, Prophet Smith, he used in his analogy grammar words. And in his analogy of using grammar words, he was in 2 Timothy chapter 1, and he talked about Eunice, and he talked about Lois, Timothy's grandmother and Timothy's mother, and the faith that was built upon that. And as he began to deal with that and how Paul used that to express Timothy's faith and where it came from, how he was built up off it, and where he came from, and how he began to grow in that, and how he should continue to walk in that. And not only that, how the laying on the hand of the presbytery of those that were believers, the men of God, that as they laid hands, and how he should stir up the faith that was already within him. We got to remember that we were born into this life to know that we were given life and life more abundantly through our Savior, Jesus Christ. So we got to recognize that that was a course that was set for us. Now, you can make a choice. You can either go to heaven or you can go to hell. So there is a set course. We want to build a life that is just filled with things. Things will come. But you got to also remember that, as Christ says, that you got to put yourself in position in order to get those things. You got to set your mind on things that are on high. Now, if you're going to set your your sights on things that are on high, you got to remember, you got to seek his kingdom first. If you seek the things of God first, he promised that all other things will be added. Now, we do want wealth. We do want to be able to be at a place to where we have houses, we have land. All of those things will be given because we have the blessings of Abraham. Hey, son, how you doing? How you doing, man of God? So in order to get that, you have to have a relationship. All of that goes with setting the course. You have to establish that. We know that in most black homes, as well as there were many white homes, as well as homes, period. So let me use that for example. It was established that you had a relationship with God. You knew who God was. You knew that there was a God. You understood who God was, where he came from, and how he was. And although we don't know his beginning or his end, we knew that he existed, that he was the creator of all things. We knew that in the beginning, God did all of the creating of everything, that God was the one that created man. God took man and he created him from the dust of the ground. He caused the ground to rain from the bottom up. He caused man to be shaped in his image and in his likeness. Everything that he would look like, everything that he would be like, no matter what he was, no matter what he would be like, even if he was born into this world with one eye, one arm, one ear, no ears. He didn't have the earlobes on the outside, but he had the sockets where ears were. He was created in his image, which meant he looked like God on the inside out. Didn't matter whether he was disfigured or became disfigured, whether he had arms or no arms, whether he had nubs or no nubs, he was still, whether he had a cleft lip or no cleft lip, we understood we were still created in his image, which meant we was created in the spiritual image, whether or not our physical image was disfigured or not, whether we were mute, whether we were deaf, we were still in the image of God. And it was still to glorify him, to bring praise unto his name. Now, with that and in that fashion, he still gave us the ability to do things, perform tasks, to still use what he had put within us to be able to function and live in this world, to still build the things that were they put everything in the earth that we would ever need. Everything man needed in the garden, God had already built him a garden. God had already built him a home, put everything in the home. He put everything there that he would need, all of the things that he would use eventually or learn to use to build what he would need to sustain him: gold, silver. He gave him all of what was there. He gave him everything that was there, every mineral that would ever be come to a place that he would use eventually to be able to do what was needed as he would advance. As time moved on, time was always the same, but man advanced as years began to progressively move themselves to a place that man had a need of the things that God put there for him. When it got to the position, when it got to that place, not for man to move away from God, but for man to understand how to move where God was and understood why God put it there, for his knowledge to get there. How all of these things, they coexisted together to be able to build a relationship, but stay in tune with God. Sounds, music, how all of it worked together is why when he finally created man, he brought everything to man for man to give it a name, so that that was ownership and everything was up under him. Is why why David said in the 8th Psalm that man was made a little lower than the angels. But God preferred him before them because he was created in his image. So when you look at setting the course, you got to recognize that, first of all, your eyes should be where they need to be, and that is upon God. That's why it wasn't until the end that it was needful that God sent his son. His son came at a time that was needful to bring man back into right relationship, because God did all of that himself, because the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, they all worked in harmony, in unison, together in the beginning, though concealed, to bring us back into that perfect relationship we had. We left that. We fell from that and happy we had. So the course that is to get back into the place that we're, because we left eternity and stepped into time, because we left from the place that we were in the harmony, in the harmonious working and living environment and relationship that we had with our Creator. So when we reset that course, we bring back the harmony. We bring back everything into its harmoniously working, so that we find ourselves establishing where we don't have to worry about the disease. We don't have to worry about our skin, our eyes, our ears. We don't have to worry about infections, infectious things coming. We don't have to worry about things causing us to lose life, because we stepped into death when we stepped out of the eternal existence that we existed with God from the beginning. So when we reestablish and we set the course to put ourselves in the position, going back to Ephesians chapter 4, where Paul tells us that we ought to lay aside, we ought to put off the former conversation, our mandates, our mannerisms, our behavior, our conduct, our way of business handling, our engagements in business, our conversations with folk, how we engaged in those conversations, the manipulations of conversations, our handling of things with people, ourselves, basically starting off with ourselves, how we looked at ourselves, how we viewed ourselves, how we allowed people to view us, and how we allow what people said concerning us to now manipulate us into seeing ourselves and the believing of what they said, to now denounce who God really created us to be, because we are all created in his image. So when we look at each other, we're looking at God himself as we see each other. And when we put each other down, we're putting the God down that's in us. So now, when we set the course to see each other as God, not because of the color that's there. Now, if we put that in its proper place and put it in its proper manner and put things in its proper place of where it has to be, then we'll take it over into Ezekiel from chapter 1 all the way into chapter 10, and we see the establishment of what color really is, what he really looked like, and how things really were while he was by the river Shabbat, and while he was in the place where he were, when they were finding themselves in captivity by the Chaldeans, by the Babylons. And while they was in Babylonian captivity, we see ourselves moving back into that same place again. So when you set the course, it doesn't matter whether you're in captivity or not. You got to know how to be free in your mind, your spirit, your emotions, your body, your heart, your thoughts. And when you're free in that, you can be free in spite of what's going on around you, because you know how to operate. Do we really know how to operate in the place and the positions that we're in? And when the door has been opened and he's given you a way of escape, as Paul tells us, as he wrote his letter to the body of believers in the church at Corinth, when he gives you that way of escape, do we really walk through the way of escape? Many of us have asked for it. You set the course. You ask for God to open the door. You ask for him to be able to give you freedom. When he give you the freedom, you still stay in the cage that he has opened the door of freedom for you to walk out, and you still go through the anxiety, because he said, be anxious for nothing, right? That's what he told the church at Philippi. Be anxious for nothing, but in all things, through prayer, supplication, right? And praise, he said, make your requests be made known to God. So here now you making all of these requests. You set the course and you making all these requests. You put your requisition sheet in. You have now requisition of what it is that you want, but you still having all of these moments where you feeling depressed, down, you feeling like you're alone, you feeling lonely, you feeling like you're on an island by yourself. You have now went into a dark place. You have yourself at a place to where you have nowhere, and nowhere you feel that you exist. You don't exist, but in one island. You have this place of escape. You've escaped it. You have this place that you have now conjured, you've concocted in your mind. You have this alternate reality, this alternate universe that you live in. Wow, you living in a world of reality, but you have an alternate reality that you live in. Good evening, woman of God. Hey, Rodney, what's going on, cousin? So when we're setting the course and we're recognizing where it's at and we're building, we're establishing or reestablishing, or we go through all of these affirmations. There are many ministries and many churches that have written, and there are many ministers, there are many people that are affirming, there are many books out there that talk about building your faith and establishing your faith, or all of these self-help books that are out there that establish it through the word of God or uses pieces of the word of God to get you to a place of getting you help. Yet God has given you every tool that you need. But the first part of that is to now lay aside the former conversation. When you still try to live by parts and bits and pieces, a whole part of your old lifestyle while trying to live the lifestyle that God has called and created you to be. He's called you out of darkness into the marvelous light, or as they call it now, WOKE, you living woke. So now you have now become enlightened. Your eyes are open, or under Gnosticism, as that was a teaching at one time, and it still teaches Gnosticism now. So now your eyes are wide open. Oh no, my eyes are open. Oh, I realize, I see what's going on. I see what you've been doing to me all this time. You've been playing me all this time, and you've been handling me in this way, and you've been doing this to me, and you've been having this, and you've been doing this, and you've been playing me like this, and you've been treating me like this, and you call yourself loving me, and you've been calling yourself enjoying me, and you've been loving me and making love to me while you've been making love to them all at the same time, and I've been taking care of this and taking care of that, and this is what you've been doing me all. Oh, I see what's going on now, and you're still there. When you're setting the course, you begin to trim. The old caller, they said, trimming the fat. If you're really trimming the fat, you take some things off. Now, let me help you understand something. There's always going to be a ripping. There's always going to be a tearing. It's going to hurt a little bit. You're going to feel some things. You're not going to like it. It ain't going to taste so good. He told Ezekiel and Isaiah when they ate the scroll, they wasn't going to like how it was going to feel when it went in their belly, because it was going to upset them. But it wasn't really going into their belly, but it was going into the belly of their mind, the belly of their thoughts, the belly of their imagination. It was going into the conscious state, the subconscious state, because it was going to alter what reality they thought they were living in, and now get into what a real reality was, to show them what the world really was about in their time as well as in ours. We say we see things. We say God show us things. We say we hear things. We feel, we say we discern. So if there is these things that are really going on, why are you still allowing your present existence to still go on as it is, and you allowing the same issues to take place, and you still fighting the exact same battle, and you complaining about the exact same things? So when you set the course, there is a removal. I want you to go back to last week's seat at the table, and I want you to look at the 9 things that I talked about. And in that, I'm adding these things. There's a removal as you're building. And if you're just establishing, there is a clearing away. And in that clearing away, sometimes we don't like to do a cleanup. We don't want nothing to be pointed out. When you look at what Paul said to Timothy in his second letter, chapter 4, he says that we got to recognize these things right here. There's going to come a time when they won't endure sound doctrine. They won't endure, wholesome teaching. Teaching that says you got to stop. You got to come out. You can't continue. There's no way you're going to continue to add new thread with old thread. You cannot add a piece of new patch to some old patches and expect it to hold. Remember all of the teachings that were written in the 21 letters or 21 epistles. You got to remember they were written in defense of the gospel. So now, why they were written in defense of what the gospel had to say, or what the gospel writers had written, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And while the 3 synoptic gospels were written at different periods of time, and they were not around each other, and they didn't take notes from each other, and while they were similar in what was being said, and while one wrote to the Greek, one wrote to the Jews, and the other one, as Luke were writing, and he was writing what he wrote, and one wrote to the Romans, and John, he wrote to the church at Ephesus because he evangelized to the world. You got to think about the fact that while Paul was saying these things to the church, to the leaders, to the pastors, and he was making sure and ensuring that leaders understood how to correct what was going on inside and outside the church, in the house and outside the house, and that we lived a life that had a balance. It brought about a perfect balance. We set the course. You got to do this thing all the way around. You got to remember you're still a natural person as well as spiritual. You're a trichotomy. And because we try to live so spiritual, we don't even know how to live natural. We don't know how to enjoy a perfect life, which means mature. And I'm not talking about perfect to where you don't make mistakes. As long as you live in this flesh like I live in my flesh, you're going to have some things that's sinful. You're going to tell some lies. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to tell lies with your eyes without your mouth saying anything. You're going to tell some lies with your mind. You're going to tell some lies with your body language. Your body language is going to do some sinful things. Your mind going to have some sinful thoughts. You're going to have some sinful affections that's going to come about. Let me help all of y'all out there that's so saved, so anointed. You done all of the fasting and stuff you're doing. Your flesh going to get into an uproar. So while you telling that lie and you setting the course, you're going to have to re-establish some things. So when you set the course, you got to remember, you got to re-steer the boat, because there's going to be some waves that's going to try to pull you off course. There's some things that's going to pull you off course, and you didn't realize that you were drifting off course. Y'all remember, I think it was last week, or it might have been Sunday or Sunday before last, and y'all know I use songs to try to get us to remember things, because sometimes we got natural things like Jesus did. So since people love music, Ryan Oslin and them say, drifting on a memory. There's no place I'd rather be than with you. So we all got memories, and we go drifting sometime. And don't let somebody pass by with an outfit or with some perfume, some cologne, or do you see a favorite show? Or you sitting down. My wife loved watching Lifetime and all those other, Hallmark movies and stuff like that. And they got all them things. Boy, you go to reminiscing, and your man or your woman think they reminiscing about something y'all did. No, they think about somebody else. Don't let somebody walk by that shaped, look, built. They're the same height. They move like somebody that you done been with. And you wonder why your woman, your man smiling, giggling, and you think they're giggling and smiling about you. And then they tell you like, oh, I was just thinking about you, baby. Stop lying. So when you set the course, you got to bring everything back in alignment. You have to realign some things. So that's where the rebuilding. That's where the shifting. We all want to talk. There's a shifting in the atmosphere. Well, when God does a shifting in the atmosphere, can I tell you, there's always some things that always crumble, fall. There's always some disaster. There's always something that's going to take place that's going to break some things, that's going to destroy some things. But see, we don't want some things destroyed because we want to hold on a whole lot of old stuff. He said, you can't take a piece of new garment and add it to old garment. Do you understand what he was saying? You can't take new wine and put it in old wine skins, because when they would begin to ferment the wine, they had to put it in new skins, because the skins would stretch out. As the wine would ferment, it would begin to cause the bottle to stretch. And if you keep taking new wine and putting it in old wine bottles, the bottom gonna burst out. You keep trying to add to your new life, and it cannot be added. Hey, Sister Diane, how you doing, woman of God? You can't keep adding to your new life, and you still take voodoo dolls. I had an aunt, and she had a closet. She became one of the stewards on the steward board. She was a mother on the motherboard, and then they started calling her the stewardess in the church. And she had a closet, and she had bottles and vials, and she had dolls. And I was a little child, and my daddy would go by his brother's house, and she was married to his brother, and I would play in the closet. And she, why you got? I come out the closet. I thought it were toys, and I would play with the dolls, and I'm sticking needles in the doll. Boy, you can't do that. What you doing? I'm like, I thought it was a toy. I brought some of my toys, and I thought she had toys in the closet. I thought they were there for me, and I'm playing with the dolls. No, you can't do that. And I thought they looked like people, that I knew, but I wasn't sure, so I thought it was a toy. Mama had cousins that was in the church singing in the choir. And they had some of these same things. I'm playing with this stuff till I found out Then you go to funerals and some of these same folk going up to the casket and they performing rituals over dead bodies that's supposed to be saved. They're doing extra rituals in the church. And there were preachers that knew what was going on, but you still allowed certain things to happen. Let me help y'all understand. There's a whole lot of stuff that I saw take place in the church. Hello, somebody. So when you set the course, you got to reestablish, reset, move. You got to move some things out and not let things take place. But we had men of God that allowed. Y'all better talk to me. Y'all don't want to hear. I'm talking about setting the course. You got to set it right. And we knew they were inside the house of the Lord, but we didn't call it out. We didn't remove it. Whether they were afraid or not afraid, I can't in the word or didn't know it, there was somebody that God gave a gift, and because they was afraid of the gift, because they didn't want nobody to move ahead of them, they forgot to allow it to work together. But you're preaching about it, you're teaching about it, but you didn't believe it. Then you don't believe what God is saying. So when the course is set, you have to establish people's faith. That's where discipleship come in. So tonight, we have to begin to clean house. When you go through your house, they used to do a thing down where I'm from, and my wife is familiar with this as well. They call it spring cleaning. And we'd take all the curtains down, we'd have to cobweb, we'd have to wash crown moldings, base molding. We had to clean all of that stuff in the house. Hey, Cousin Tony, and we wash all that stuff back, all the dishes out of the cabinet, wipe cabinets down inside out, wipe the cabinet doors down, wash all of the plates, the cups, the glasses, wash all of that stuff by hand. Yep. Dry it, put it back in. Take the dishes out and put it back in the cabinet. Take all of the canned goods out of the cabinets, wipe all of that stuff down, and put them back in. Put all of that stuff back in order because that was a certain order. Move the canned goods that was in the back to the front of the cabinet. And I'm like, Mama, we don't work at the grocery store. They do all that stuff at the grocery store. Come to find out what they call it at the grocery store, they call it front because I started working at the grocery store when I was in high school. So you did things, and at first it didn't seem to make sense. You would pull all the furniture from the wall, sweep under the furniture, take all of the pillows off the sofa, take all of the covers off the pillows, and Mama would wash it. And, we used to take the rug and have to take the rug and bring them out on the line outside and beat the rugs on the line. So that was a cleaning had to take place. The whole house had to be clean. Windows was up throughout the whole house. Wasn't no air conditioning on. Hello? Do you do that in your house? Do you air out your mind? And we still had shotgun houses back where I was from because a couple of my aunts lived in shotgun houses on Sam Rapp. They would open the front door and the back door. You look straight through the house. That's why they call it shotgun house, because you open the front door, open the back door, see straight through the house. The room and stuff was on the side. I remember catching whooping by my grandmother with a cooking spoon. And every time that cooking spoon got cold, she went back in the kitchen, and if she didn't put it on the fire, she put it back in that hot pot that she was cooking with. She wash it before she put it back in the pot after she tore your tail up with it. Go back in the kitchen, stir her pot, whip your tail, go back to the sink and wash it. And that was the point that they had pails. Now they had running water, but I couldn't understand why we had to wash in a pail. That's right, basin, pail, whichever one you want to call it, because all of the same thing. But that was a purpose why they did the things that they did. And most of us carried this on as we became parents or adults. You didn't just walk through the house with shoes on. You got up the next day and you didn't walk through the house with night clothes on all day, which you slept in last night. Your bed clothes in some places, like where we from, they call them bed clothes. Each part of town had a different name. Danville, Peterville, and all of these other places. Coal Chute, like out in Morgan City, where I'm from, Railroad Avenue. And, various places had different names. They had a name of the city, but each part of the city had a different name. What I'm saying, when you set the course, you set out for where you know you're going. And you set a course of how you're going to get there. Your faith is established through the word. So I gave you 2 Timothy, and I went through parts of 2 Timothy of how you're going to get there. Jesus is not going to deny himself, but he's going to deny you. If you don't recognize who he really is. Paul talks about that in 2 Timothy chapter 2. He deals with all of that there. If you don't confess him before men, he ain't going to confess you before his Father. If you deny him, he going to deny you. You have to live faithful all the time, in spite of it. Even though your flesh may get sick, even though you get tired along the way. Hey, my niece, how you doing, Sierra? There are some things that take place. We don't like everything that mama say, grandma say, auntie say. We don't like everything that daddy say. I listened at the Wayans brother. I think I sent it to you, Christian, the other day, and he was talking about what in Shay Shay Lounge. Y'all know Shay Shay, Shannon Sharp. And he was asking him various questions, and he said even though his father wasn't there all the time and his stepfather, but he was glad for a dad and a mama. He was the guy for a father and a mother. And he loved going back home and going out on a date with his mama. His mama loved him, catching him by her arm, and he walking out to the car, taking her to go get her steak, and she knew what kind of steak she wanted and what have you. And when they pull up to the restaurant, she didn't want the maitre d' to take her out of the car. She wanted her son. They get back, they talk about it, he wait for her to get upstairs and come go over the balcony and look at her, make sure she was in. He had to go to the mailbox and she walk him to death. That sounds like Gus and me. Sound like my mama. But it was the fact that they built strong men. And he said he thought his daddy's name was MF for a long time. Y'all know I use the words, but we got super saved folk, they get caught up. But they fail to realize that a lot of the apostles that were, just preachers in the beginning, and they were learners, and they had some bad mouths too. But y'all so super saved until somebody really messed with y'all, huh? Y'all forgot that at every meal they drunk wine, but they didn't get drunk. But we use certain part of the text for what we want to use it for, right? That's like we got blessing scriptures, and we got healing scriptures, and we got cursing scriptures and all of these other things, and we pull it out. We pull a whole lot of stuff out for the things that we want, but the things that we need to pull it out for to get our lives together, we don't, right? So he said in Ephesians 4, he tells us that we put off the former conversation of the old man. We hate folk. And he said, although there was a period where his father really wasn't there, his father raised strong men. That's why all of them are like they are. They all have. They are all doing what they got to do. That's what his mama did. That's why mama did what she did. That's why all of their brothers and sisters, they ain't broken out. His mom told him, that building over there where all of the holes come out at and where all of the tricks do such and such and such and such. One day the building's going to be worth, $25 million, $50 million here now. When you go on the blocks, that's what the buildings are worth. Want to go buy that building. Keenan go buy this building. Damon go buy this building. Marlon go buy this building. Sean go buy this building. And some of those buildings they own now today. But we won't listen to it. He said that old lady was wise. She was a prophet. But he said the main thing was, Daddy said, y'all better know God. Y'all better have a relationship with God. So when you set the course, they set it early in life. Do we really establish that? Some of our nieces, our nephews, our sons, our daughters, our great nieces, our great nieces, our great nephews, our great nephew, they don't want to hear it because they just want to do their thing. We all have done some things. I done done some things. Hello? Then the moment somebody find themselves in trouble, don't let somebody take it. I knew it wasn't going to be long for the Lord get them. Oh, the Lord whipping their tail. That's good for them. I told you it wasn't going to be long. First of all sickness is not caused by sin. So some of y'all ain't reading y'all word right. Some of y'all don't know the word of God like y'all say. Some things God allow for a reason and a purpose. Some things was already there, you just didn't see. And then sometimes God will allow folk to get chastised and God whipping their tail right in front of you. You don't know it. But he blessing them in front of you and he chastising them in front of you and you don't see it because he already know what your mouth gonna do. But everybody see what you going through and what you dealing with and why you ain't got it and why you the lost and why you keep losing and why everything and why so much death and dearth is in your life because your mouth running the wrong way. Then you want them same folk to pray you out of what you in. My Lord. When you set the course, you change the atmosphere that is around you and in you, and it changes the atmosphere of those that come around. You keep drawing the same kind of things, the same kind of people, the same kind of mouths, the same kind of mentalities, same kind of behaviors, same kind of thoughts. You bring in the same kind of relationships. And when I say relationships, I ain't just talking about the people that you date, the people that you're sleeping with, the people that you marry, the people that you have married. I'm talking about same kinds of jobs. You get the same kind of pay. You have to deal with the same kind of co-workers because you have not changed anything about you. Your mouth said it, but that's not the behavior that you depict. That's not the character and characterization that you live. It's the thought process that you talk about, but it's not the implementation that you implement in what you do. Now, you start off real good until you look like the Lord really blessing and God start blessing, but it look like God, but it ain't God. Satan set you up real good and make you think, and you start going back to the house of the Lord. And when the preacher really start telling you that there are some things you really got to stop, you don't want to hear the preacher saying that. And don't let the preacher make mistake. Don't let the preacher sin. Don't let you see the preacher around somebody that you know doing some things, but you don't know why they're around that person. Or you just figure the preacher doing the same thing you do. Stop running your mouth. Pray for them. See, we don't pray for them that despitefully use us. We don't pray for them that are doing us wrong. We don't turn the other cheek. That was the time that I got a lot of preachers that did me wrong while I was doing what was right. When I came out of it, it's still doing me wrong. Hello? Can I tell y'all? I got family members talk good to my face, but in their mind, they were talking wrong. As soon as they walked off, they were saying some wrong things. Again, the old days say they smile in your face. My Lord. Got a whole lot of backstabbers. That's what they say, right, preacher? Mm-hmm. Oh, he ain't talking to me tonight. Mm-hmm. He quiet over there tonight. Our studio audience is quiet tonight. Mm-hmm. So when you're setting the course, you have to remember to do that. And when you're setting that course, your whole house have to do the same thing. We quick to say, as for me and my house, we gonna serve the Lord. Go to some of these houses. Let me tell you what I know. Because I try to get my house to do the same thing. So I talk about my house. My wife said, I'm trying to bite off. Then I guess we bite off each other. Because we can do that, we supposed to be one. Because you get aggravated. Can I tell you, as long as you're in this flesh, I don't care how saved you are, you're going to get agitated. You're going to get irritated. You're going to get to a place to where things going to bother you. But it's how you deal with it when it bothers you. Some people get quiet. Some people get rambunctious. Some people get loud. Some people shout. And every now and then I shout. I'm going to tell y'all that now. I get mad. I get upset. I growl worse than a bear. I think a bear will run away from me and so a lion. The lion will be like, wait a minute. My roar, leave that alone. He might eat me up. I'm glad you know. Oh, yeah. The honey badgers in Louisiana, they don't want to mess with me. They ain't because I think I'm so bad. I just know that at points in time when I've asked and I've said, and I've said it nice, and I'm trying to gradually gravitate to that place, just know the walls run away from me. Yellow Jacket said, nah, we ain't fooling with that fool. That fool on one today, no. And I be praying while I'm getting to that place. And like, look at y'all, Jesus, look at y'all. So when the course is set and I know where I'm going, and I know the ship trying to sink it, and we taking on water, and the bilge pump is not working. See, those that have been in the oil field, or anybody that know anything about a boat, most boats have a bilge pump, and most motors have a bilge pump built in the motor, and it's pumping that excess water out. So let me help y'all understand. I worked in the shipyard. Used to build boats that had double bottoms and triple bottoms. I'm a second-class ship fitter. Read blueprints. My family's mechanics, electricians. They're bricklayers. They're cement finishers. They're doctors. They're lawyers. So got a little bit of everything that's there. Preachers, singers, alcoholics, hoes, ran brothels, clubs, DJs. bums, absent mothers, absent fathers. I got a little bit of everything in my family. I don't know about yours. I know about mine. We got school teachers. We got family members that got masters and they got doctrines and double doctrines. They're teachers in school, teachers in college. We got a whole lot of them. They're good with everything. They lawyers in the court. Then we got some that just don't want to be nothing. They stand on the corner. Some that came off the corner. Then they ain't got some corners no more. I done sold dope. Got family members that sold dope. Used dope. Prescription dope. Why am I saying that? Because when you set the course, you recognize that when you put off the former conversation that was corrupt, it was corrosive. It was eating you up. It was a canker. It was a sore. And some sores, certain medicines don't get it. See, I have lupus. And the type of lupus I got, some of it, certain medicines can work on it, but other medicines ain't gonna work. I got it in my skin. It's messing with my organs. And some of this stuff ain't gonna work. It is what it is. When they first said it, my wife said, "You just said that." It hit me like a ton of bricks, and you just said that like, "Oh, okay, no problem, whatever." First of all, I know a man. I'm like the old folk. I know a man. And I say, like my grandmother say, he from Galilee. There's a bomb in Gilead. And he ain't going to allow certain things to happen if he ain't had a purpose for it to take place. So what's going on with me? I'm going to run into some folk. There's a whole lot of things that are going on, a whole lot of folk that got it. And there's some folk that are down right now because they got it. I ain't down. It might make me tired sometime. Some days I'm hurting. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I still got to go. I don't look like what it is. You can't tell. But the bad part is that it's been there from what they've been saying for about what? We've been together since 2013. We recognized it in 2016, but didn't know what it was, and doctors just kept putting it off. Wasn't until we got here to Florida that they recognized what was really going on. When they look back at tests that had been being run for the last 10, 15 years, like, do you realize that these tests been saying the same thing for this long? I said, well, I've been trying to tell some doctors, but they kept telling me something else. Do you realize that could have been added to the condition that you already got? Yeah, I do realize that, but they felt because I didn't have, MD behind my name, I have a bachelor's in psychology, but, they thought it was all in my head. It is what it is. So you keep on going, you keep on pressing. Mm-hmm. So when you set the course, you don't change directions unless there's something that tell you to change course, but your course that changed don't change the course of where your ending point is. Mm-hmm. So I had to keep building faith. What are times I wanted to just shut it down? Ask my wife how many told her. I just want to. We're gonna close shop. We're gonna shut it down. We're gonna dissolve the ministry. We're gonna leave it alone. You can take it and do whatever you want to do. If you feel you can do a better job, you can do it. She right there. I asked her. And every time I said that, God said, "What you said?" I said, "Huh?" God said, "Let me ask you one more again." Did I say it loud enough? I'm telling y'all just how it sounded when he said it to me. I said, "Huh?" He said, "Who called you? Did you call yourself?" I said, "No, I ain't. I'm telling y'all just how I said. And I with the stuttering, because I used to stutter as a kid. And I swear, I believe the Lord was trying to say, don't stutter now. You said you had a stammering tongue as a child, and he took my stuttering away real quick because I tried to say, God, Moses was a stutterer. Can I have somebody to go with me like Moses had with him? And the day that I said that outside my mother's house, and we used to have a sliding door at my mama's house, God took my mouth and it stopped stuttering that same day. I said, you know what? You funny, Jesus. When I tell a lot of things that place that my course was set a long time ago. So when you set the course, it builds itself. And it's been a removing ever since. And I still got some things that I'm removing. So when you remove, you now go to Hebrews 12, and I'm going to let Evangelist take over here. Hebrews 12 and 1, he said, wherefore seeing we're compassed about. There's a great cloud of witness in heaven. When he was talking about that, he was talking about all of those that had already died. He was talking about the word. He was talking about all of the faithful, all of those saints that had died in hopes of Jesus coming. And Jesus came and died. And when he died and he got up, and when he stayed for 40 days, and on that 40th day, he took a flight back to heaven, come back with him, because he talked about that as well in Ephesians, that he led captivity, he led captive those that were already in captivity. He took them back with him. So let me help y'all understand. There was a whole lot of folk that said they weren't going to live to see it, but what God had already called me to do, I was going to do. I'm doing it, and they died. I call a whole bunch of names from down in Mount Pilgrim, from off the bayou, and they laid in their grave resting. They had a part in my living, my growth, from all the way up the bayou to Homer, from one end of the bayou to the other. And they dead and in their grave now. There's only a couple of them that I can tell you that's still alive that were able to still be here and see it. So when the course is set, and he said, wherefore sin we're compassed about with great cloud of witness, let us lay aside every weight. I've been losing weight for the last 52 years, or for the last 40 plus years now. At 3 years old, when I began to read and I recognized what my calling was and my assignment that he placed before me, I had to lose some weight. And I've been looking to Jesus ever since. Did I want to do it? No, I ain't gonna lie to you, I ain't gonna do it. But at 20, he said, what did I tell you to do? So with that being said, when the course is set and you begin to pull off, and I ain't gonna tell y'all no lie, some things he ripped away from me because I didn't want to get away from it. Because I wanted to stay. There were some things I purposely tried to do to get him to reject me. And everything that I tried to do to get him to reject me, let me help you understand. He kept saying, come a little closer. I said, no. Get a little closer. I said, no. He said, the course is already set. Ah. And I swear it sounded like my grandma. He said, get you. It's okay. So I'll leave that there and I'll pause. Evangelist.
So as we sit and get ready to prepare to get ready to sign off, only thing I want to add is that Apostle gave us many examples, many scriptures on tonight. But one of the greatest things that I listened to as he was talking and as he was being led in, as he was speaking with us, whenever we think about setting the course, let's pause there for a minute, because we know that we got these new mini computers called cell phones, and it's got what's called maps on it. And whenever you go to maps and you get ready to set your destination, tonight I want to ask you a question. What's your destination? Where is it that you're trying to go? Because see, whenever you know your destination, now you got to learn the route that you're getting ready to take. But before you can get your destination, the question on the map says, where are you leaving from? So now you got to ask yourself, what position am I in?
Yes.
Because see, this is a personal walk we have to remember. And getting ready to make preparations to go somewhere and to get ready to get on a course of what it is that you're getting ready to do. It doesn't matter what it is that you're getting ready to do. Whenever you get ready to build a house and you go and find a piece of land, you always have to clean off the land.
Mm-hmm.
Some places you have where there's called swamp land. Some places you have where there's just sand.
Yes.
Some places you have there's clay.
Yes.
Some places you have there's dirt. But in everything, you have to make sure that what it is that you're getting ready to put on that land, will that land be able to hold what you're getting ready to put there?
Mm-hmm.
And in you getting ready to build, most of the times we don't always think about expanding. Our mind is only set short term. So we're only building what it is that we're going into. But as we get ready to grow and mature, sometimes we have to add on to what it is that we already know. See, some of us get comfortable. We stay in that little 2 and 3 bedroom house. And we don't recognize that God is trying to move us into a 4 or 5 bedroom house, or trying to give you an office, a den to go with your living room, or to give you a dining room to go with that eat-in kitchen. But whenever you look at it and you think about it, you have to go back and examine the foundation to see if the foundation is capable of holding the addition.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you look at that, sometimes you have to go back and repair, because that's whenever you start finding out that there's some cracks or there's something going on with the foundation. And that tends to happen because of weather, or the fact that the earth tends to move. As we're standing in one place, it's still moving. Mm-hmm. So that means the ground under us is still moving. And that's no different whenever we're driving that car, getting ready to go to that destination.
Yes.
We have to prepare for the destination that we're going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to make sure that we get gas. I know some of us are like me and Apostle. We're going to get that car service before we get ready to go, to make sure that we don't have no problems as we started to travel. And one of the biggest things that I look at is everybody tends to check the tires. Because I remember one time we was traveling to Louisiana, and because it was so hot in the summer when we were going, we had a tire to blow out because it was so hot on the pavement. And because we were driving and the heat in the tires had started expanding because it was moving and the road was hot. So whenever you sit down and you think about that, you have to prepare for what can get ready to happen.
That's right.
That's no different than the example that I was given of the house. Because what happens if you have to go 20 miles or 30 miles out of the way because there was an accident that was on the route and the path that you was on?
That's right.
So now you have been routed to go another direction where you prepared for what could get ready to happen. A lot of times whenever we go to the barbershop and to the beauty salon, a lot of us go and the first thing that they do is they shampoo our hair. Because they want to make sure that our hair and our scalps are clean for what it is that they're getting ready to prepare to do. So tonight I want to ask you, have you cleansed your mind for where you're getting ready to go?
Look out.
Apostle just said that we can't put new wine in old wineskins, right? So if that's the case, that means we can't continue to stay where we're at. We can't continue to think in the way that we have always thought. Then he also said tonight, there were people that God put in his life that said, I might not be around whenever God used you, but I know God got something for you to do. Yes. So that person was preparing him for the course that had already been set. There was somebody in each and every one of our lives that was preparing us for where God was getting ready to take us.
Yes.
There was somebody in our lives that was praying for us. Many times you've heard me share that. I remember my mama sharing with me when I was younger that she could remember because she lost her mama at an early age. And she said, I could hear my mama praying. And my mama wasn't just praying for her kids. She was praying for her children's children and her children's children, which means she was praying for other generations because she recognized I will not be here to see them, yes, but I trust them in your hand. See, tonight we're talking about setting the course. So when we set the course, not only are we just setting our own course, but there was someone else that peeked in your life that God allowed to see that there was somewhere he getting ready to take you, and that he needed you to know that he needed you to stay on path. So tonight, if you hear us say, stay on course, set the course, or get prepared and get your course straightened back out, because we all mess up at some point of time. Then you hear me say that we was riding down the road, and as much as we had our vehicle checked because of the heat, there were some things that happened that we wound up on the side of the road because of the fact that tire blew out because of how hot the pavement was. That's and right. The heat of the tires, because one, Apostle and I don't like to stop when we riding, we rolling, we trying to get where we got to go.
About 70, 75 miles an hour when that tire blew out.
Thank you. But God, nobody in our vehicle got hurt. We didn't hit nobody, and nobody hit us. That's so right. Whenever you think about it and you done made your mind what direction you're going, and you have already known the destination that where you plan on arriving, that means you have already recognized that anything can happen from where I'm leaving from. Did you hear what I said? Where are you leaving from? Recognize where it is that you're coming from. See, many of us coming from different walks of life. My life may not have been, well, as Apostle say, you had a green life. Yes, I did. And I'm proud of the green life that I had, because I was the person that I didn't have to experience everything. That's no different than us learning from the preacher. That means you don't have to go through everything that the preacher went through. That means some things you were able to learn just by them telling their testimony. You don't have to go through everything in life. Sometimes you just got to listen to someone else's story to know that that's a path that I choose not to go down.
That's right.
So that means that you've already set your course and recognized there's just not some things that I'm not going to find myself getting connected to. Mm-hmm. There are just some things that I feel that there are some obstacles that I don't have to put in my way. Did you hear what I said? Obstacles that we put in our way. Not the fact that God allowed these obstacles to be in our way. Some of these obstacles we go through and things that we face, these are obstacles that we have now put in our own way. Mm-hmm. So tonight, let's think about it.
Yeah.
Let's think about where is the destination that we're headed. But let us also look at where is it that we're coming.
Amen. And that's important. You have to think about where you're going. Do you know where it is that you're going? But first of all, do you know where you're at? Do you know your starting point to know your ending point? Know where it is that you are coming from to know where it is that you're going. And when you can understand that, you can recognize how you're going to get there. But be prepared. And in your preparation, look at all of the things that are there and understand there will always be obstacles. There will be things, I don't care how well prepared you are.
Come on.
There will always be things that will happen. Even the best prepared military officials always have things that come up. There will always be things that will happen. So you always have to be in a position to know that you always got to have an exit plan in spite of what takes place. Are you ready for it? Are you ready to go forward? When you made the decision that you were going to walk this walk with Christ, and you made the decision to come out of what you was in, you knew there were going to be some people that was going to have some issues, have some problems. You already knew they were going to talk about you. Or you said, I know they're going to talk about me, but I ain't worried about it. Yeah, you were. You talked a big game. We all did. I'm going to tell you now, we all did. Now, I'm going to tell you, it bothered at the same time. I knew what I was going to say when I got ready to address it. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. You can say what you want. Do it hurt? Yes, does it hurt? Will it hurt? And you heard Evangelist just say yes. But you got to recognize the destination that you are trying to get to. So when you choose the ticket and you punch the ticket, you better be certain that you're ready to complete the course that you're going. Sometimes you're going to have a layover. And in that layover, whether it's on a bus, because I done had a bus, never rode on a train, I done been on a plane. There's always a layover. So be prepared. You got people right now afraid to fly because of all of the things that are happening, because of all of the decisions that have been made. And in spite of the decisions that have been made because of the present president that is in place right now, you still can't be afraid to trust God because God knows exactly what he's doing. That's where the believer has to come together. The whole body of believers have to come together and stand as one. We're many members, but we're one body, and we're one body in Christ. Your feet can't operate without each other. You got a right and you have a left. You have a large toe and a small toe. Your small toe give you balance. Your big toe help to stabilize you. So you got to have all of your toes, just like you got to have all of your fingers. You got 4 fingers on each hand and 1 thumb on each hand. So you can't say you got 5 fingers. No, you have 4 fingers and a thumb on each hand. That's so that you can have grip and clasp. That's what the preacher talked about Sunday as well. You can have 2 fingers and a thumb, and you can grip and clasp. So at the end of the day, most of the time, we don't use but our pointer finger, our first middle finger, and our thumb to hold stuff anyway. In martial arts, the first things they teach you is how to use these first two fingers and your thumb, because those are the main fingers that are used in martial arts. And most of the time, your thumb is actually cupped because that's to keep you from getting your thumb hurt. Same thing when they take you through training as a police officer, because if your thumb is messed up, you have no use and you can't do anything. If you ain't got no thumb, you walk around like the hip. So you can't clasp nothing, you can't hold nothing, you can't grip nothing. You have a thumb. If you look at a bird, their talons, one of the talons that they have, if you really look at it, it's a thumb. It operates as a thumb because it has to have that last part of its talon to finally have what is needed to grip. They have three major talons and one main talon. And that last one is what puts the hook in, and the last three clasps it. So you got to think about it. God knew exactly what he was doing when he created us, when he designed us. Grandma say, the reason why you got two ears is so that you can hear good with. Reason why you got two eyes is so that you can hear with. The reason why you ain't got but one mouth. Now you can go home with that. So God bless you. God keep you. You got two lips. You got a top lip and a bottom lip. There's a reason. You got a top set of teeth and a bottom set of teeth. There's a reason. But you only got one tongue. Well, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and them started talking about it. I said, you know what? It kind of sounds crazy. You got one nose, two nostrils. And I want y'all to think about that. It may sound crazy. They didn't teach y'all that in biology, but I want you to understand. But you don't smell through your nose. You don't taste anything but in your mouth. You don't, I want you to understand, everything that you smell really through your mouth. You don't smell through your nose. The smell go through your nostrils, but the smell is really in your mouth, because all of your buds are on your tongue, on the back of your tongue. Y'all never really thought about that, did you? When I learned that in school, like, whoa, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me every time somebody fast gas and all that other stuff, I'm tasting, oh, good God. That's not good. So think about it. When your destination is set, we always talk about, and when you think about the word destination, you have the word destiny in it. You have the word destined. You have the word distance. All of that is in that word. So think about it. And everybody talk about, I'm destined, my destiny, and all of this other stuff. First of all, God already knows the ending result of who you are. He knows whether or not you going to go with him or you going to be in hell. When he say, I know my thoughts towards you, they're lovely, they're kind, they're blessings. Yes, they are. But if you make the choice to not want to live with him, he ain't choosing for you to go to hell. You make the choice on your own. How about God sends you to hell? Not your choice. It was your choice. You made that choice. The decisions that we make, God gave you a mind to make a decision on which direction you want to go. You see the things that are happening in your life. Hey, cuz, what's going on? So you made the choice. What you gonna do with it? It's right in front of you. You see what's happening. So you having all of these anxiety attacks. Some of these things you can change. So when the course is set, so for the last 30 years, you've been going through what you've been going through because you've allowed it to happen. You gave it that authority, that power. You gave it that. He started off in Genesis by telling us what we could be able to do. He told him, take authority, have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, over all of the animals over the land. Then he said, subdue. So you had power over those things that were natural. Then he said, subdue, that means to operate. He means to manage well, to use it the right way. Then he said, have dominion again over those things that are spiritual. So you had natural and spiritual that he gave you power over. You keep allowing people to do what they're doing. It ain't just the preacher's job to teach you. It's your job to read and understand what's going on as well. He said, I give you pastors according to my heart to feed you with knowledge and understanding. So now while they're feeding you with knowledge and understanding, it's your job now to make the application of it. Why you think you go to school? It ain't the teacher's job just to put the information in front of you. It's your job to apply the information. So you go to college. So when you get out of college, you can't take your college degree and try to go on somebody's job and you ain't use the degree you got. You want them people to pay you big bucks, but you ain't operating like you supposed to. You go in the hospital, you don't kill somebody.
Come on.
You don't know how to draw blood because you want to be a phlebotomist.
Come on.
And you don't even know where the needle's supposed to go at the person's arm, and you sticking them in the wrong place because you got to recognize they got nerves, so there's certain places you got to put that needle.
Come on.
Because you can mess with the people's nerves and they are. Let me help y'all understand. Oh, I got good understanding and good learning. Ooh. Real, what you talking about? Watch yourself, real. Said that the man of God may be thoroughly furnished unto all good works. I don't just know the Bible. I went to school. I got some learning. My mama stopped from being a nurse. My mama was a CNA. And I took her medical books and I learned. Tell my daddy, said, you can't even cut straight. I got nervous every time my daddy came around, but I can cut straight. Mess with me if you want, I cut you. I was a marksman expert in the military. I shoot you too.
Jesus.
Anyway, if you know your destination and you're destined to get there, God has a plan for it. If all of these things have been helping you as we sit at the table, and we be real at the table, I'm going to tell you now, I'm as real as they come. And if you sit down in person with me, I'm going to tell you I'm even more realer. I'm much more realer in person. And I don't bite my tongue.
Really?
I'm much more real. I'm very real. And I'm very alive. But I like to see you get somewhere in life. And when you start showing me you don't go anywhere, I'm going to still say hello. I'm going to still have a conversation with you. But when you try to talk about the things that you say you want to go and you ain't going that way, I'm going to leave the conversation because you don't want to do nothing and you don't want to go nowhere. And you're going to see me acting like I don't want to be bothered. You're going to think that I'm acting stuck up. No, I'm not acting stuck up. You don't want to go nowhere. You don't want to move. You want to stay there. I'm going to let you stay right where you at because you're not going to keep me where you are because I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to leave you behind. For real, for real. Real talk. Now, when you ready to go, we going to go because you're going to be like the donkey and me and you both pulling the cart. You're going to get tired of that cart set. Hitting your legs. And I'm going to tell the man that's got the harness to pull you off, and me and him going to pull by ourselves. We going to leave you behind. How you doing? Because my legs ain't going to keep getting beat up because you don't want to pull. You can pull your own weight. You don't believe it? Check it out. He said, let every man bear his own burdens. But he says, if it get to the place to where you overtaken in the fault, I'm spiritual. I have spiritual understanding. I have spiritual growth. My job now is to bring restoration. While I'm restoring you, I'm supposed to help you carry yours. But if you trying to make me carry all your weight for you and you ain't carrying none of your weight, I'm going to put all of that weight back on your back and I'm going to leave you right where you at. And I'm going to keep going. And I'm saying, okay, Lord, I love them. I'm praying their strength. Now they're going to carry that weight because I've been carrying their weight and they've been out there, they've been out there bucking and jumping. And they ain't been trying to live the way they're supposed to live. They're going to come to church and they're going to look at me. How's it going? Oh, hallelujah. And they got on new clothes and my clothes getting raggedy because I'm carrying all of their junk. Oh, no. Get your tail up. Come on, carry some of this weight. Some of us sick now because we carrying everybody's stuff. Set the course and stop carrying there. Y'all carrying some of y'all children weight. Stop carrying that weight. They done got in trouble. Let them sit there. My daddy said you go to jail other than protecting yourself, you're going to sit in jail. Y'all better stop going bail them out. They lying. Y'all paying their bills and trying to pay your bills, and they messing their money up. They blowing their money. They letting people scam them out their money. and you done work for your money, and you broke, and you and your husband, you and your wife fussing because you keep, y'all set the car, set it right. Hallelujah. God bless you. God keep you. See you tomorrow night. 5 Few Bible study. I love you. And my daughter always messing with me with Shrek. I love you, Daddy. So y'all have a good night. Thank y'all for joining. We appreciate you. You can go back. You can share this, and this has blessed you. Way, if you listen, when you're in the course, you got to change some things. You got to move some things. See, when the oil got changed in my car acted like it wanted to run away from me. When I changed the wipers on the car, it looked like it wanted to clean the inside of the window as well as the outside of the window. I'm telling you, we already put some new shoes on. When I say new shoes, I already did my brakes on my car because I'm a mechanic. I'm a certified mechanic. I did my brakes already, so the brakes were fine. We'd already put brand new tires on it. So when the oil got changed, my car said, "Hey, what's up, boy? We can ride now. Come on, man. We're gonna ride now. Fill it up with gas, and act like it ain't one." Seemed like the gas stopped burning. Let me help y'all understand. Good brakes, good tires, fresh oil change keep you from burning your gas out your car. If you don't understand that, and a good tune-up. It ain't time for a tune-up because I had just made sure all of that was done as well. So I service my car well. Do you service? Huh?
We said it out.
Say that again?
We said it out.
We said how? My wife tell him we got to go off. So I see y'all. I see y'all tomorrow. All right. Love y'all.
Love y'all.
Good night. She running me home.